Hey there, my fellow designers and creatives. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another video in my mega product design course for beginners. I'm doing a very interesting format for this video because it has to be done in this way. In this video, we're going to take a look at understanding how to do a whiteboarding session. So this is going to be split into two parts. The first part is where I will do the mock interview. And in the second part, we'll do a debrief and we'll learn things that went well, things that didn't go well, and things like that. A big disclaimer, this isn't scripted. We are just going to do this on the spot, impromptu. I have picked the problem statement beforehand, and Gahan over here, he is a product designer who currently works at Unacademy, one of the most talented designers I've ever had the pleasure to work with. So Gahan, thank you so much for coming in and contributing to do this.
Thank you for inviting. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Right. So let's get into it. It's going to be a 1 hour whiteboarding session. And you typically know how whiteboarding sessions run. And yeah, I'm just going to share my screen now, and then we'll dive right into it without wasting any more time.
Okay. 54% of the world's population live in urban communities. The average marriage age for men is 29, up from 26 2 decades ago. And for women is 27, up from 23 in the same time period. Given these trends, city dwellers tend to spend most of their 20s living with their roommates. Finding and keeping a good roommate, however, gets harder and more as more people live in cities. Design a mobile product experience that appeals to millennials and that makes it safe to find the ideal roommate in any urban city. Design the experience from the perspective of a person who's looking for a roommate as well as the one who's looking for the apartment. Once the ideal roommate is found, what else can this product do to improve the roommate experience? Okay, all right. Just to clarify my understanding of the design brief, I will be looking into people in their 20s. So that's my target age group. And they will be using this particular app to find their potential roommates to live in urban cities, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, whatever you're thinking, it would be great if you could just, write them down so that everybody can see it and we can keep track of it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll start off with my solutions here. So this product is for mobile, and this is targeted at millennials who are in their 20s as of now. Cool. So as far as this goes, my understanding is that even Gen Z will be included here since Gen Z starts from 2004, or I think maybe before that. So this is for Gen Z millennials as well. Okay.
Maybe you could just mention the age group as well so that it's a little bit more clear.
Yeah. So since you've mentioned here that it is, the marriage age for men is 29, I will be considering 20 to 30 years old, 30-year-olds.
Okay.
Let's just keep 10 years gap here. I'd like to consider that. So this product is going to be only used for finding potential roommates. Is there anything else that I need to be considering while designing this particular product?
Yeah, so I think the brief says that you find roommates and then you keep a good roommate. Because also at the end it says once the ideal roommate is found, what else can this product do to improve the roommate experience?
Okay, understood. So we are also looking at helping them find a good roommate as well as keeping them glued to the app so that they don't uninstall and move on to, go about their days and stuff. So we are also looking at retention here, right?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so we are also looking at retention. All right. Okay, I think my understanding of what is supposed to be done here is pretty clear. if I do have any other questions that comes up while I'm going through this entire thing, I think I will let you know in between.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So all right. So I will start off by listing out what could be the potential features of the app.
Maybe you start off with the problems that people face, maybe before coming down to features.
Okay. Problems. Okay. I'm going to do this purely on assumption.
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't experienced this firsthand, so based on what I've had a conversation with others and all, I will be listing down the problems that they might have faced.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it could be the preference in food.
Okay.
Um, they might also look at their roommates' hygiene, sense of hygiene and stuff. They can look at the influence and stuff.
What do you mean by influence?
So if there are, if they have some bad habits that they're not okay with, that
Okay.
this particular okay with, so such kind of influences. So these the problems I'm listing right now is just something that is an open-ended question which can be quite confusing for people to um, get through and find their perfect roommate. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
influence, call it slash habits. Um, I guess probably mm, yeah, their behavior as well, which can affect. So for now, I think these can be some of the you know reasons or problems that people might face while looking at the roommates. We will get back to this while we are building out on the product as well. So if there's any problems that come across, we will add them to this list again.
Mm-hmm.
So for now, the problems are the preference in food, which can be quite um, varying from person to person. Hygiene is also something they look at before finding a roommate. Influencer
Mm-hmm.
habits, which is their probably if they have any habit of smoking or excessive drinking and stuff like that, drugs stuff. So behavior as well. Um, and yeah, I think responsibilities.
What do you mean by responsibilities?
So as a person who has moved into an urban city and looking for a roommate, I would expect the roommate to share some responsibilities with me in maintaining the particular apartment or PG or whatever they might get into.
Okay.
So if they're share equal amount of responsibilities, then well and good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's quite important for someone who's looking for a roommate, I guess. So yeah. Um, okay, I think this can be added on later. So I think we are clear about the problems here that one might face while looking for a roommate.
So
Um,
just to confirm, are you saying that these are the so these sound like more like requirements of a particular person who is looking for a roommate, which I believe everybody will have. That's fine. So I think, do you actually feel that these are the problems? Because the problem is, so okay, maybe let me put it this way: are you saying that it's hard to find people with the respective preferences or requirements they have? So I'm clearly trying to understand what is the problem statement that you're trying to say. Um, yeah.
Yes. So I get where you're coming from. So yes, these can be considered as requirements as well, but that is from a product perspective. Uh, these are the problems. I mean, okay, I can consider these to be some parities in preferences that can be considered as a problem here, not exactly um, responsibility as a problem or behavior as a problem. So the parity in the preference that one might have in terms of be it food, hygiene, or influence behavior or responsibilities.
Hmm.
If there's a parity between the person and their potential roommate, then that is a problem. So I'm looking at zero parity between the person and the roommate. So finding that is pretty hard. So yeah, I would
Okay,
consider that as a problem.
I see. Okay, so you're saying that finding somebody who matches your requirements is a big problem.
Yes.
Okay.
So I can probably list these down as I can just call these things to be requirements, or rather problem in finding someone with the same um, preferences. So I would just like to call it this.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit more about why is finding someone with the same preferences really hard? Because let's assume that we are designing this for India, where there's like a massive population, and we're obviously designing for, let's say, an urban city where a lot of people, come, let's say Bangalore or Delhi, for example. So there is a lot of people, and there is a very good chance that I will find somebody who matches my requirements. So why do you feel that this is a problem of finding someone, even though the population is quite large?
Right. So in the final statement that you mentioned, the population of India is quite large, and so is their habits or preference in food and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's safe to say that there can be varying uh, perceptions about food, hygiene, the way they've been brought up, the
Mm-hmm.
influence that they have, be it, sense of sharing responsibilities or behavior and stuff like that. So uh, one person cannot be the same as the other, and that's quite rare to find, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel since India has a large population, it's one country where you cannot find a person with the same preference in food, the same mentality when it comes to like being hygienic or like
Mm-hmm.
being okay with influences that they have or the bad habits or yeah, bad habits they might have, or the way they behave, and is it comfortable enough for the other person, and the sense of sharing responsibilities, or like not just for the house, but if they're responsible as an individual, as a person on their own, that is also something that and other people look into and stuff. So yeah, yeah, there can be quite a bit of difference there.
Mm-hmm.
Hence I feel that it's quite difficult for someone to accommodate another person with a difference in lifestyle, a difference in uh, being together under a roof within four walls and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I feel that is a problem in India.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, I feel this has to be sort of unified and
Okay.
solved in a better way.
Okay. Yeah, let's go forward.
So yeah, I as of now I think these are some of the problems that I can see. We will again add on to the list as and when we come
Okay.
across this. I have to make note of some competitors of this.
Okay.
So I think the first thing that comes to mind is Twitter. We have several bots on Twitter that can help you find roommates.
Okay.
In Facebook groups where you can post about a vacant flat or a vacant house for PG or renting and stuff. Um, Facebook groups. Okay. Continuing with this, I think Instagram also has been used for getting roommates and stuff, finding roommates and stuff. Probably from pages that meme pages and stuff that can help other people find roommates. And yes, probably like some WhatsApp groups
Okay.
can act as medium for finding roommates. Reddit,
Okay.
the subreddits of the particular city that people are looking at. Probably they can post something to find their roommates and stuff. And I think I'm not really a competitor for this, but like you can still you can ask your colleagues if they're looking for spaces as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I'm just gonna write office colleagues here. Not really competitors, but let's just keep it in the list.
Okay.
Yeah, I think as far as I can recall, these are the competitors that will be against what we are going to design.
Okay.
So let's just go through some of the features that each of these competitors have.
Okay.
So firstly, coming in Twitter. So Twitter has wider reach since many people in India use Twitter to find roommates and stuff, and we have seen a couple of bots as well trying to help other people match someone with their roommates and stuff. So it has a wider reach. I think there's a bit of trust factor that's involved here, and by default. So if someone is a mutual follower or a mutual friend of the person looking for a roommate, then yes, there's a lot of trust factor that has been added there, and instantly that can help them secure their roommate.
Nice. Okay.
Trust factor. Then okay, so I think it can also help other people find other roommates, even if like it was not intentional there. So, for example, what I mean to say is that in a particular area in Bangalore, if you're looking for a roommate in a flat, you might also approach the person to ask if there are any other empty flats there for themselves or for other roommates and stuff. So,
Okay.
So it's like widening the spectrum there. So you just don't reach out to a person just to let them know that they are ready for being their roommate and stuff, but you also ask them if there are any other flats around that are available for rent. So it's like a mutual contact that you're gonna get there. So it's like winding spectrum. So let's just keep these for now. Going to the next one, that's Facebook groups. So as far as I can see, the age group that we are looking at, which is 20 to 30, are not huge users of Facebook as of now. I personally don't know many people who still use Facebook, but let's assume the fact that they use Facebook only to find roommates. So wider reach will still be a factor here.
Okay.
Trust factor could be less since the mutual friends or mutual or people that you already know won't be a part of the same group. It's very less likely that will happen.
Okay.
Again, white the spectrum could also be one of the features there, since comment section is open and you can still ask for like other flats or other roommates. And one post. So widening the spectrum is still a factor here. Yeah, I think we can stick with that for Facebook groups.
Okay.
Going to Instagram. Wider reach is not something that Instagram has. It can only be through stories and stuff, which lasts for 24 hours.
Right.
So I think Instagram has the feature of letting mass number of or letting the mass know, but not it's not very interactive as such as Twitter and Facebook groups are. So be it a general post, I don't think anyone would actually take the effort in making a post just to let others know that they're finding a roommate. Probably it'd be through and mostly through social media pages, not actually accounts as such, not actually personal accounts. So accounts that pose as meme pages or something like that would be posting stories just to let them know that someone they know are looking for roommates in so and so area, and that decreases the interactivity because there's no public comment section there that you can talk about and ask for help or something like that, or just show that you're interested in stuff. So I don't think stories will be a good platform for that. So rather than that, it'll just let the mass know that about this the fact that there's someone is looking for a roommate and stuff.
Okay.
Without interactivity. So I'll just add without interactivity. I don't see any other features that Instagram can have when it comes to this. So going ahead with the WhatsApp groups. Yes, it does have wider reach. You can forward, you can interact and stuff. Trust factor, since you are in the same WhatsApp group and you've been a part of that WhatsApp group for very long, could be long enough to get to know other people and stuff inside the group. Widening the spectrum as Twitter has. And I think it also has an additional feature of ease of approach. So you can approach the person easily there through WhatsApp itself. So you don't have to space time trying to get the contact of the owner of the apartment and stuff like that. They're already there on WhatsApp. You can just DM them. So if someone forwards the contact, you can just directly message them right then and there. So ease of approach right there.
Okay.
And yeah, I see no other use for WhatsApp groups there. I think this is So coming to Reddit, wider reach is not something that you can consider here. We can, it's a hit or miss, so we'll just leave it with a question mark there.
Okay.
It's sometimes it might reach people, sometimes it might not. Trust factor, definitely not there. Someone who's willing to take the risk of letting a random stranger from Reddit, which doesn't verify usernames or profile photos or anything as such, will you know, it's kind of risky. So yeah, trust factor, I'm just going to leave it there. Widening the spectrum, yes, probably through the comment section you can still go ahead and find for the roommates for yourself.
Okay.
So widening is still a feature in Reddit. Ease of approach, no, you don't publicly give numbers on such a platform where everything is anonymous.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that it has to. Now colleagues, if you go through colleagues and ask them if they're willing to rent out or share a space, um, wider reach, no, just can't have wider reach with colleagues. Plus factor, maybe. If you know them from a fairly like a month or so, then yes, probably. Widening the spectrum, no. It's very less likely that they might know someone who falls under the same category as you trying to find a roommate. So I think trust factor is the only thing there. So these are the
Okay.
features, and we have discussed the negatives of each of them.
Okay.
So let's just move ahead with the features that this particular app that we're going to design is going to have. Um, So combining features that are already there, I would like this app to have um, feature to reach masses.
Okay.
So probably chronological order or um, anything that can help them reach masses, their requests or posts or anything as such. I would like to see a feature to um, background verification. So just so you know, for your own safety, um, that you're.
So how will you end up doing a background verification?
We will come to that later. Just
Okay.
a speculation of um, not necessarily be there in the app, but can be there in an app
Okay.
like this. So we'll come to that and filter down on the features later on and how it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So feature to allow someone else to help themselves find a roommate in um, another place. Could be another place or another area altogether. Just yeah, just for engagement and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also feature to uh, see details and legitimacy of the owner.
What do you mean owner?
Um,
Who's the owner here?
the owner of the flat. So it
I see.
so
Okay.
happens that it so happens that sometimes people get duped since they're new to the city or something like that. So if I would, as a user of this app, if I would like to be a roommate to someone, I would also want to see how the owner is, because if I run into problems with the owner later, then I might want to leave the place and look for a new one, right? So
Okay.
um, get to know the owner within one space itself. That'll be better for me to judge and take a decision there.
So, who is going to feed this information about the owner into the app?
Um, let's just say that uh, this app can also let owners post vacancies of their flats or PGs onto the app
Yeah,
so that
so let's not go there because that is not a part of the problem statement. It's just about finding roommates.
okay.
So basically, the only users of the app are going to be people who are looking for roommates and not owners as such. Yeah. So yeah, that can be a future scope.
So yeah, let's just keep it as future scope. Something to probably improve the app later on. Okay, let's just keep it as that then. Feature to verify yourself
Okay.
and your legitimacy and stuff. So probably let's just say KYC kind of thing.
Okay.
Um, we can also have feature to post photos of the flat or PG. And feature to hmm. So this particular feature is to allow someone who's interested in this space, they want to become roommates or something, to access the owner's details so that they can talk to them. Again, like this is somewhat related to what we have here.
Mm-hmm.
Just so if they're okay with owners again, like if they're not, then they could probably move on to someone else.
Okay.
So yeah. But yeah, I think if we can sort of, let's say if the person is who's actually looking for a roommate posts some details about the owner and things like that, then that would be helpful if they have started the hunt and found a couple of places and stuff like that. Yeah. So and mm, so since keeping a roommate also includes things like splitting the rent and stuff like that, we can also have a feature to split payments here itself.
Okay. So maybe you
um,
can, since now you're moving into this part of the post experience of finding a roommate, maybe you can talk about the problems that roommates face currently. Like you've already found a roommate, and now what are the problems? So obviously, splitting payments is a problem that they generally usually face. So maybe we can dive into that as well.
Sure, yeah, that sounds fair. So for the post experience, first problem that they face is, as we mentioned, splitting payments. Um, be it like the rent or the bills and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then sharing responsibilities. I think that's an internal issue. Internal problem
Okay.
might happen, might not happen. Um, but let's just note it down. Um, and Okay, sharing responsibilities. Let's just split that into several pieces here so that we can understand what responsibilities I'm talking about here.
Okay.
So who cooks the food at times could be an issue here. So sometimes one can get busier than the other, and yeah, that can be a problem here. So cooking food
So,
or
a quick
rather,
question here. Are you listing down problems that you want to solve with the app, or are you just listing down all the problems that people face?
listing down all the problems. I'm listing down
Okay.
all the problems, but we will take a look at it. Whichever can be solved by this app.
Okay.
Who cooks the food, and so keeping the entire house clean, stuff like that. So I will just, I think we get the whole gist of what I'm looking at here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's just keep it at that. So
Okay.
coming back to the feature to split payments, because that can be a huge deal. Uh, feature to, what else we can include here? Okay, I think we have a fair enough list of features here. Okay. Before we proceed ahead with this, let's just talk about a few of the user stories. I'll just go over this quickly. Um, as a user, I want to um, I want to post about um, a vacancy for a roommate and be able to get valid responses. As a user, I want to uh, validate a potential roommate.
Okay.
So that I can be um, I can feel safe as a user. um, I want to be able to chat with others so that I can finalize my roommate. As a user, I want to be able to split payments like rent or bill so that there is no discrepancies or quarrels. Um, as a user, I want to be able to put out my preferences so that like so that I can find like-minded roommates. Okay. So adding on to this feature to chat with others. So yeah, I think we have a solid foundation for this.
Okay.
So do we want to proceed with the business aspect of this particular product, or
Yeah, let's
would
do that.
that not? Okay. So going ahead with the business aspect of the product, uh, let's find out ways we can actually monetize this. So one way to monetize this particular app is to um, have a subscription model. I'm just listing down possible ways to run a business. So this is not a final list. This will just be the ways that this business can probably sustain.
Okay.
Subscription is one way. Um, Pay per post is one way. Um, Pay once a roommate is finalized is another way. Um, the app itself can have a payment cost, um, if it's going to be a paid app. Um,
So I
mm,
think out of this, which one do you think would make the most sense?
okay, out of the ones that I've already listed, I think either pay per post or pay once a roommate is finalized could work out better. Uh,
So
but
with
again, there are,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so with considering rooms for errors and stuff like that, um, I think pay per post is the most foolproof method, but
Mm-hmm.
that would also mean that people would resort to Twitter, Facebook groups, or any of the competitors that we've previously mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And once a roommate is finalized, could work out better if it is implemented in a very legit manner, uh, in a foolproof manner. So I'm downing on these two parts. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll if there are any rooms for error, and then we can decide on the payment plans and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay. So let's just park this aside. I mean, we've listed down most commonly used uh, methods.
Mm-hmm.
Not of course, but like something specific to this particular problem statement that we have. Okay. Should we move on to the wireframes?
Yeah, I think so. One thing we can do before we go there to wireframes, maybe we don't need wireframes. I think a user flow is fine, but I want to discuss a little bit more about. So you've mentioned these user stories, and let's talk about solutions. And let's like sort of get very deep into solutions because these look like good user stories. And what would be the ideal solution for each of these user stories? How do you enable each of them to do it? So you have features as well, but we can dive very deep and sort of finalize how the feature works and things like that.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. So I will just list them down one by one here. So let's talk about the first user story, which is to let's copy this out here. I'll just call it user story one. So probable solutions for user story one. Okay, as a user, I want to post about a vacancy for a roommate and be able to get valid responses.
Mhm.
Okay, so firstly, obviously, one solution can be a regular feed that social media apps use. Um,
Got it.
I'll just call it social media feed.
Okay. So
The
just to understand and confirm over here, um, are you designing the experience for the person who is posting the vacancy, or are you designing the experience for someone who is looking for a roommate? So what I'm trying to say here is that I might be someone who I'm moving to a new city and I don't know where to live. Or it could be
Okay.
such that I'm already living and my old roommate, left and went to another place. So I have one room available. So who are you designing the experience for?
So I am looking at users who um, I'm considering both of them fall under the same category, in the sense. So those two are different spectrums of the user base that we have, right? So the first user that you spoke about, who already has a place to live and is looking for a roommate,
Yeah,
or is one left and they are looking for a newer one. So they would have a different experience versus those who are looking for a place to
correct,
stay.
correct.
So this will be double down on two different feeds. So one is where one is where let's say I am looking for a roommate,
Okay.
and you, the other person or the other user who is
Mm-hmm.
coming to this particular city where I'm already living,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to look for a place to stay, and at the same time that will obviously mean that you're also looking for a roommate.
Okay.
So yeah, since both the users have a common thing, which is looking for a roommate, but the second user is also looking for a place to stay, whereas the first person is already has a place to stay. So that's the only difference between the two. So the experience that I'll be focusing on will cater to both,
Okay.
and we will take that later while sort of framing the user flows and stuff.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So it can be like a social media feed, or else you can firstly have a search filter. So as someone who is looking for a place to stay, you would obviously search for the locality in which your office or college is already located in, right? So uh, a primary search would make the most sense here because you know the locality that you're going to stay in. So search first experience can be one thing that we can consider here.
Yeah. So a quick
Um,
question here. When you said social media feed, what are the posts going to be?
so they are going to be a combination. So they have to be a combination of text plus media. There
Okay.
is no provision for just text. So I am thinking not to have the um, ability to just post a text or just media, because that wouldn't make any sense, like media without context or just text without pictures and stuff like that wouldn't make sense here. So as a person who's looking for a roommate, I want to make sure that the other person knows what the place is like, and what it's about and stuff like that. So text plus media would make sense here. So yeah,
Okay.
this is going to be text plus media kind of posts. um Someone like Instagram, I can say, but text would be given the first priority. Um, Search first experience, and okay, I think that's for user story one. Let's talk about user story two.
So
So
just
as
to
a
confirm, so user story one was I want to post about my vacancy and be able to get valid responses. Um, yeah, I think this is probably a different user story then, because you mentioned about being able to get valid responses. Well, okay. So would
Yeah,
this be a different user
understood.
story? I think maybe fine. It's still fine, I guess. Okay. Cool. Let's move
Yeah,
forward. So the second one is I want to validate a potential roommate so that I can feel safe. Okay, yeah, let's talk about that.
okay. So the second one, if you're looking for a roommate, obviously you want to make sure that they're legit and they're all clean and stuff like that. So the app should probably have a way to verify anyone that gets on the platform. So verification with ID, or somewhere like a KYC, what banks do with their customers and stuff. But that's a little too extreme. But I'm just still going to keep it here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So um, company verification. or rather, I'd like to call it verification with their workplace.
How will you do that?
So I think a system has to be set up in place where if someone wants to be onboarded onto the app or something like that, we'll have to verify their workplace and stuff by asking them like where do you work and stuff. And once we have the details of the point of contact or anyone, we can just call them up and verify if they're actually employed in the same place and as what.
Yeah, but
So that could
employment
also
doesn't really have to be a category, right? I might just move to a place and I mean, I'll be doing my own business, or maybe I'm a freelancer, so I work at home, or I'm doing my own thing, right? Maybe I'm here for like 2 months and I'm maybe on vacation or whatever the reason is, right? I'm just chilling. So I'm not going to be working these 2 months, but I just need a place to stay. So,
okay, yeah. Agreed. So we can go ahead with something else, like probably KYC or just with ID or something.
mhm.
But I'm still going to this here as an option. I'm not really like finalizing with all these bullet points that I'm adding. It's
Okay.
just a potential solution that we can have.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll get to that later,
Okay.
I guess. So yeah, going ahead with user story 3. As a user, I want to be able to chat with others so that I can finalize my role. So obviously a separate chat functionality, or probably you can just directly call them, which is much simpler and gets things done in a faster manner. So place a call directly. Um, yeah, I think these two are the
Okay.
senses that we can have. User story 4. As a user, I want to be able to split payments like rent bill so that there is no discrepancies or quarrels. Yes. Okay. So we can have an inbuilt payment system, which can also solve things like user retention that we have previously mentioned here when we were discussing the brief. So an inbuilt payment system can probably help them finalize the bill settlement or rent settlement and stuff like that. Other thing is to sort of
So you're saying that let's say it's month. So let's say it's the end of the month, and then you have to pay rent for the next month.
okay.
The amount is split by, let's say, two roommates, and the payment happens through the app. Is that what you're saying?
So the payment can happen through the app via different payment portals like JustPay or Razorpay and stuff like that.
Okay.
If that system is integrated into the app itself,
Mm-hmm.
or we can show them this final bill, this the amount that they need to split between each other,
Okay.
and redirect to the third party UPI apps like PhonePe, Google Pay, or something, and let them pay through that.
Okay.
So
So what if there's a use case where how do you handle this? So let's say there's an electricity bill of, let's say, 500 rupees, and that is 250, and let's say both of us are roommates, and let's say you pay 500 rupees on your own through UPI or whatever, because it has to be paid, per house once. And I just want to give you cash of 250 rupees. So what would you do in that case?
So I think in that case, the situation will be handled similar to Splitwise. So I can either just mark it as paid on Splitwise if I'm paying cash, or I can
Okay.
just pay via UPI itself if possible. And obviously, the other person will get the notification that the amount has been received. So handling will be similar to Splitwise, I'd say, if the other person is paying with cash. So yeah, splitting this system of splitting the payment and stuff, I think it's going to be quite similar to what Splitwise already has.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, so I think in this particular user story, I feel that one can actually set up the monthly rent and stuff like that, and either of them will get a notification or a reminder that the rent is pending and stuff. Whoever pays first will be marked as okay, fine, paid by so and so, and the other
Okay.
person will get a notification that you owe so and so to the other person, and that reminder could probably be helpful in manually paying them or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
um, and if they are already roommates, again for user retention, if they're already roommates, then probably like we'll ask them to set up their UPI IDs and stuff like that, so that it's easier for them to be redirected to the third-party UPI apps to directly pay the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that system as well.
Okay.
Okay, coming to the last user story for the first kind of users that we have. As a user, I want to be able to put out my preferences so that I can find like-minded roommates. Okay, I think this is pretty straightforward. You'll be mentioning your preferences. I am thinking uh, in the lines of Airbnb hosting experience, where you have several options to choose from, and decide like and put out what kind of accommodation you exactly have, right? So
Okay.
um, you can have options like veg, non-veg, and various things. We can also have things about how you are as a person, how you behave as a person, and if you have any psychological, things like OCD, things like that, which can actually affect, staying together with other person and stuff. So options to choose preferences, and or we can let them manually enter what their preferences are. So I think this covers the first user base.
Yeah. So I have a quick
So the
question here.
second,
So
yeah.
here you spoke about verifying verification with ID and KYC. So that solves the problem of getting like bots and random people. So then that this person is a real person who exists, and they have they're not like a criminal or whatever it is. And the other part over here is where you're saying that you can put out your preferences and all that's cool. There's also this other part where you're saying that you can have a chat functionality, or you can place a call and stuff like that. So my question to you would be, how do you still bring about a lot of that trust factor? Because fine, you're a real person, I understand that you're a real person, I can see where you work and what you do. You seem pretty fine on call and stuff like that, but I think coming back to your places, your requirements, if we look at that, you spoke about habits and hygiene. You can pretty much lie about that. You can't technically understand the behavior of a person, through, like a video call or stuff like that. So, um, even food, right? So he can say that, maybe you want a vegetarian, and then he says, no, I cook vegetarian food, I mean, I cook non-veg food once in a while, so it's okay, and things like that. So but how do you go about actually verifying that, this part? Do you have any ideas on that?
I cannot jump to a solution to that immediately, but I can take a while to understand how this can be solved. I don't want to jump to a
Yeah.
solution
Okay.
impulsively.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel that okay, we definitely can't invade into personal space with KYC and asking them
Yeah.
questions or sending an to ask questions and stuff. Uh,
No, the thing is, even if you do, they can lie about it.
hmm,
So how do you really get to know who they are? And obviously, I'm not saying that you have to get to know everything about them. But if you're
hmm.
wondered, so let's say you don't want to say with a person who, for example, smokes or stuff like that. Just take that for an example. Now, that person might mention that he or she doesn't smoke, or that person might mention on the call that, hey, I smoke probably once a month, and I don't do it inside the house. I do it outside and stuff like that. But once you go in and you become a roommate, you realize that all those are false. So how do you what are mechanisms that you can put in place to know that you really trust this person inside out? Yeah.
Okay, to answer that question, I think we can sort of come up with an agreement as such. So apart from the rental agreement and everything that's there, these people who are looking for a roommate can probably have um, another agreement sort of thing on the app itself where it is legally valid, but at the same time,
But it's not an offense, right? Like, just lying is not an offense. I'm not breaking any laws as such. So
it's not an offense, but agreement is still an agreement, right? So if your signature is on a paper, uh, if you've signed something, then you have to abide by it. So obviously, like eating non-veg is still not um, a sin or anything as such.
yeah.
It's not legal, but on agreement, when you're when the owner of the house is letting you know that you cannot cook non-veg inside the house, and you
Mm-hmm.
agree to that, you'll have to abide by it. If you do break the laws, and I mean, if you do break that particular rule set by the owner, and the owner finds out, it's going to be ugly, right? So likewise, while finding a roommate, I think we should equally respect the person who's finding a roommate as much as we do respect the owner, and their preferences and stuff like that, right? So if the person looking for a roommate wants the other person to be vegetarian, then that rule has to be set, that boundary has to be set.
Yeah,
So
but that's what
probably
I'm
coming.
saying, right? People won't follow that even if there is an agreement. And nobody can take any legal action over here because it's not a crime. Eating non-veg is not a crime. Smoking is not a crime. Drinking alcohol is not a crime. So there is nothing that you can do. You can just fight with them, but that doesn't solve the problem. So we're trying to prevent rather than find a cure. And the moment I think you bring about an agreement, it has to be legally actionable. It should be valid in court and so. And I don't think we need to make it that severe, or people will definitely get intimidated by the app and stuff. So yeah, again, do you know other ways like you can bring about, how do you know things about a person? Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of which, I think lying, yes, it is quite common. And I think, yeah, there's not much discussion about how we can solve this with design as such.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that's
but I,
why I'm telling you, like, so what you can probably do is, if you are a person who is looking for a roommate, let's say you have your own place, then it's very likely that you've had roommates in the past. And which means that you can, rating is a mechanism that you can sort of have for every person to see. Now obviously you can say that rating is also can be, false or whatever it is, but you can sort of check, who that person, uh, so so if I am looking for a roommate now and I had a roommate before, that person could leave a rating for me. That could be forced or whatever, I totally understand, but still that could be sort of a mechanism. You can probably have, link your social media so that you can get to know, you can see their Instagram and see if you have any mutual friends. You can link your Facebooks and you can see if you have any mutual friends, and you can pretty much ask your mutual friends about, hey, is this person a good roommate? What do you know about them? And stuff like that. So yeah, I think those are still mechanism. It's still not 100% foolproof. It's not flawless, but I think that also brings about this sense of trust. Yeah, because I think you mentioned in many places here that, um, what do you say? I think you mentioned, yeah, so WhatsApp groups have trust factor, Twitter has trust factor, right? So how could you integrate this trust factor into the app also is something that we could go about. Yeah.
yeah, I think the structure is what I mentioned was more of on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
And since this is going to be a fairly new app, not many people who are familiar with each other would be, joining this app and stuff. So yeah, I think I agree on the social media part where you have to sort of link your account, and this person can check their social media and stuff to see if they're, good enough and stuff. Yeah, that does add a little bit to the trust factor, but yes, it does not add 100% of the trust factor to that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel that can be one way we can help them out with that.
Okay.
I
Cool. Yeah.
think
Yeah.
think LinkedIn would also be one method, not in terms of trust factor and stuff like that, but just to uh, to see if this person is from a fairly reasonable background and stuff.
Yeah, but
Um,
I mean, but it won't be helpful for people who are just coming as students to go to a college together. Like they don't have jobs. They've just moved to another city for their education. And even let's say we take this international, right? So I'm going from India to, let's say, Europe to study, and I'm looking for a roommate, and I want an Indian, of course, because it's much easier to live there. So, I mean, you can do the university check or whatever it is, but LinkedIn won't really help there. Yeah.
okay. Um, so while getting the users onboarded, obviously they will not know that the preferences that they set initially while getting onboarded onto the app will have an effect on what they see, right? So we can probably frame a few questions like, what's your food preferences, veg, non-veg, vegetarian, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be um, informed to them that these decisions that they take or these preferences that they set will be affecting the um, kind of posts or kind of vacancies that they'll be seeing on the app, right? So that's on the other end where those people are looking for a place to stay, and it's also fair enough for those who are looking for roommates where they know that, okay, fine, these preferences set by new people are like valid and truthful. So I think that can match out pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Anything? Okay, you want to move forward with this, or yeah?
um I wanted to go ahead with a couple of like few user stories of the other side as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So just frame them as, so I'll just
Yeah.
call
So we
this
have
user
like five
story.
minutes left.
Okay.
So we can
Yeah,
just do it then. Yeah.
stories. I'll just call it part two. So on the other end of the spectrum, we have users who are looking for places to stay. So as a user, I want to look at um, places to stay along with details of the roommate who's already staying there, so that I can finalize a place quicker. So if so, I'm focusing more on like details of the roommate, so that if um, giving the benefit of doubt to these set of users as well, they would also have some set of preferences that they want. So giving the details of the other roommate as well can help them finalize the place quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And as a user, I want to be able to initiate a chat with the other person to inquire more about the place. As a user, uh, I want to be able to see all my. So this is for the post experience. I want to be able to um, see my share of um, monthly bill, so that there are no there is no confusion actually. And I think yeah, rest of the user stories are, I think, common between both. So yeah, these
Okay.
are some specific.
Okay.
So coming to the solutions, I'll just quickly go about
Yeah.
solutions here. So for user story one, I think search first experience will make sense.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, if you give them a proper feed, that would also help them. But so just having a search bar on top with a feed that will show places which are nearby to the preferences set by them initially when they're onboarding to the app would make sense here. So that's why I'm including both search first and feed. User story two. I want to be able to initiate a chat with the other person to inquire about this one. So again, it's going to be a chat system or place call directly. Yeah, one more user story is to, as a user, I want to be able to uh, see the details of the actual owner and contact them.
Okay.
So this is solving two problems. One is to find out the legitimacy. Second one is to find out if they're fine with the owner, like their how they are towards these tenants and stuff. And the third part is to directly approach them and finalize discussion with them as well.
Okay.
So yeah, sort of like solving multiple problems. So third one is to, as a user, I want to be able to see my share of multiple so that there is no confusion. Yes. So again, that's going to be direct payment system or UPI. And the fourth one will be to I think it's pretty straightforward. Showing details of the owner and verifying. So for verifying owner, I think what one can do is on the other side, if they want to post a particular vacancy for a roommate, they can probably include the details of the owner, like their phone number and stuff, and tell them that, hey, look, I'm including your email ID, phone number and stuff. They're gonna send you an OTP, could you verify and stuff like that. But I feel there's a lot of it's going to open a complete loop of fake verifications. But at the same time, verifying owner would add more credibility to the vacancy or the post.
So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Make sure to check out the second part where I go ahead and analyze this and give you my tips and tricks on how I would go ahead and solve this problem statement in a whiteboarding session. The link will be down below in the description. If you have any questions or requests, let me know in the comment sections down below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing, awesome content. And I'll see you guys in my next video. So till then, take care and bye-bye.